We're going to start off today's show with a question, okay? Let me know in the comment section down below before we get into anything. I just want to hear your opinion. Should Baltimore trade for Debo Samuel? Let me know yes or no. On today's show, we got a ton to talk about. We'll start it off with Adam Schefter on the Ravens trade and why he sees Baltimore as a possible fit for Debo Samuel. And then on the back half of the show, we'll talk, ask the question, answer the question. Should Baltimore trade for Debo Samuel? So all this came down on Super Bowl Sunday when Adam Schefter sent out this tweet earlier in the day and said the 49ers have granted Debo Samuel and his agent Tory Dandy permission to find a trade partner for the wide receiver. Samuel told ESPN this comes after Samuel asked San Francisco to trade him during the players' exit meetings after the season. Debo Samuel actually spoke on this and said something, Adam Schefter, that he added in this tweet saying, "It was a hard conversation to have with Kyle Shanahan because of the relationship that we have. But I have to do what's best. I'm more than thankful for the Niners giving me the opportunity of a lifetime. But now I think it's best that we find another team." So all that's good and well, and you might be asking yourself a question right now saying, okay, Joey, where does Baltimore fit into this? Well, then Adam Schefter went on the Pat McAfee show, and he spoke on the potential teams, right? Pat and Hawk asked Schefter pretty much point blank, who do you see trading for Debo Samuel? This is what Schefter had to say. I could see him in Baltimore. I could see him in a lot of places. Any of those AFC North teams make sense, right? Make of that what you will, but I do enjoy the fact that I think it's interesting that he named Baltimore outright. So, could it happen? Let's talk about it. The last 4 seasons for Debo Samuel have been a little bit of a roller coaster, right? Really high up in 2021, back down in 2022. A little bit up in 2023, back down this past year in 2024. And the thing about trading for a guy like Debo, who has his kind of skill set, who's recently coming off a contract year with the San Francisco 49ers, is he does have his financial burdens, all right? In 2025, his current cap hit is $15.83 million. Option bonus, $15.43. That's due on March 22nd. Then you go to 2026. His dead money is $32.75 million. The trade savings will be minus $15.20 million for the San Francisco 49ers. The 2025 dead cap hit is $31.02 million. And if Baltimore trades for Debo Samuel, they would owe him a total of $17.55 million in salary and bonuses. And let's be honest, guys. I don't necessarily think that that's feasible, first off, from just a money perspective with where the Baltimore Ravens sit right now in cap space at about $6 million. And then also, I don't know if it's worth it for the player that Debo Samuel has kind of turned into over the past couple of years, especially this past season in 2024. Predict it for me in the comment section down below. What will the Ravens do? You let me know. Type T for trade, type P for pass. Curious to see what they do, but more curious to see how you predict it. So Debo Samuel this past year was fine. Definitely was a down year in his kind of standards, but just was okay, right? He got to be a wide receiver 1 for the first time in his career with Brandon Ayuk going out with injury, and he struggled, right? Only 670 yards, only 3 touchdowns on the season. And so, because of the reasons, financial and his decline a little bit, and just what we've seen of him over the past year, him giving an opportunity to be a wide receiver on a roster, proved to everybody else in the National Football League that a team and a wide receiver room and a passing game can run through him. He didn't really prove that, okay? So coming up, I've got more reasons to not trade for Debo Samuel. Make sure you stick around for those. But before that, I got to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video. That's our good friends over at Fanatics. And right now, you can get some Derrick Henry gear, and it is free shipping, okay? So I don't know if you got a birthday coming up. Heck, Valentine's Day is tomorrow. If you got a significant other, if you've got that special someone, man or woman, you could go ahead and get them some Derrick Henry swag. Best best time to do it is right now because you can take advantage of that offer with free shipping. So go to chatsports.com/King Henry to get any of the things you want, right? Jerseys, jerseys, men's, women's. You can find it all right there. So head on over to Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/King Henry because this is the perfect present for this time of the year. Heck, for any time of the year. I can promise you no one's ever going to complain about receiving a King Henry jersey. Again, free shipping, chatsports.com/King Henry. So my number one reason why you don't trade for Debo Samuel is I think Baltimore already has similar size wide receivers, okay? When you look at the depth chart, when you look at the wide receiver room, and your number one and your number two option, and Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers is a little bit smaller. Rashad Bateman might be an inch bigger, but like, in the same breath, they're the similar type, similar size wide receiver. And like I've said all offseason long, I want a big body guy. Okay, I want a jump ball guy. I want a corner of the end zone, goal line fade type wide receiver. I want a wide receiver who can do something different than the current wide receivers that you have on this team. I've been saying it all offseason, whether we're talking draft targets or whether we're talking trade targets or whether we're talking free agency targets. I want something new in this wide receiver room. This offense needs a new wrinkle. They don't need another guy who's a great, 5-yard comeback route, screen route, take it to the house. Okay, that's great. But Zay Flowers can do that. Rashad Bateman can do that. They need a burner. They need a guy that you can toss it up 30 yards down the field. He can go up high point and come down with it. And Debo Samuel isn't that guy. Okay, so that's reason number one. Reason number two, in my opinion, he's declining, okay? Not only is just the yards declining, the touchdowns declining, but if you take a little bit of a deeper dive into it and just look at yards a game, okay? This takes out the injuries because there's games where he's played or seasons he's played 12 games. Obviously, you're going to have less yards than when you play 16 games, right? 2021, 88 yards a game. Career high, right? He was an absolute stud that year. But since then, it's just taken a big hit. The year after, 48.6, a little bit back up, a little less than 16, then back down to a career low of 44.7 this past year in 2024. And when you look at just his entire career, okay, he's only had 1 year with more than 1,000 yards receiving. And I know he does stuff for you in the run game. I know he does stuff for you with jet sweeps. I know he does stuff for you sometimes even lining up in the backfield. But in my opinion, when you have the rushing threat in Lamar Jackson, when you have Derrick Henry as your running back, I don't necessarily know if you need to add a wide receiver in there to add on to this rushing attack because it's already the best in the league. Like I said earlier, you need a wide receiver that could go up and get that deep ball, okay? And so I just think he's declining. I think his better years are past him. I want to hear from you guys, though. Let me know in the comment section down below, what's the % chance the Ravens trade for Debo? Adam Schefter listed them outright as one of the teams he think might end up trading for him. Let me know the % chance. 100% you're saying guarantee it happens. 1% you're saying no chance in hell. Let me know in the comment section down below. So here are my first two reasons. Here's reason number three, the final reason on today's video, is he just can't separate anymore, okay? He can't do it. If you look at how he did against press man coverage in 2024, it was really, really bad, okay? 85 total routes, 19 targets, 9 receptions, 179 yards, only 1 touchdown. He had a catch percentage against press man coverage of 47.4%. Okay, Samuel, he's a guy that relies heavily on scheme to get him open. Okay, and if it's not going to be scheme to get him open, you're just going to hit him with a little bit of a screen. And like I said, you already got Zay Flowers to do that. But Kyle Shanahan is a phenomenal coach, okay? One of the better offensive minds in the game, in my opinion. And he's loved having a guy like Debo Samuel because that's a guy he can scheme open, okay? I'm not saying Todd Monken can't do that, but if you're looking for a guy to just get open when he's being pressed with a little bit of release, right, 3 yards and you're burning him, you're leaving him in the dust. He's not an Amari Cooper. He's not a Devontae Adams. He's not one of the best route runners in this game. He just can't separate, okay, unless he's being helped by whatever the scheme is to get him open. But he can't really do it by himself. So my take on this whole thing is, if he were more affordable, I'd be down, okay? I'm always down to add another weapon, even if I do think he's declining. But for that price of $17 million and where the Baltimore Ravens sit right now in their cap space, It just is unrealistic, okay? And I don't really want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. If you're going to get hamstrung by a contract, do it for a guy like Myles Garrett. Do it for a guy like Max Crosby. But don't do it for a guy like Debo Samuel, in my opinion. Okay, thanks so much for watching today's video. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Join us in the over 28,000 people we've got rocking with us right here on Ravens Rundown. It's the best place to be on YouTube. Can promise you that. Join us today. Hit that sub button.